G'day Eagles fans and welcome to this week's instalment of the Inside Swoop, presented by Jim Beam, where we're talking all things West Coast. Will Schofield, you have front row seats to Sunday afternoon's performance. The 38-point loss to the Tigers was the 8th straight defeat on home soil. What were your takeaways from the contest?
Well, clearly more competitive. I mean, it was a bit of a mirror image first couple of quarters. If I could speak properly,
Yeah,
maybe that'd be nice.
You're right.
So first quarter, Richmond had real dominance but couldn't put it on the scoreboard. And then I felt like West Coast actually got right into the game in that second quarter. Couldn't quite take a couple of chances to the point half-time comes, they lost the last 2 goals right before in red time. And then coming out of the break, they had 4 goals kicked against them. So that, seriously, it was a 10-minute patch. You take that away and it's a real, anyone's game. So, look, overall, that was my takings. The start of the game, I was working boundary for Fox and I thought, not again. There was 4 guys I thought could have easily been out for the whole game in the first 15 minutes. So,
did you go over there and do some CPR or what?
Well, no, I didn't. But, I mean, it was all of them almost, other than Jinby, were better results than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
It was a good result.
All right, well, let's have a listen to the senior coach. Speaking after the game, of course, here's Adam Simpson.
Yeah, there was patches there where we were poor and patches of resilience, which was great. So it's sort of an even split. I think we had 50 inside 50s, which we've struggled to get. Might have won, score some turnovers, but we had lapses. We looked quite flat at stages. But for the players to work through it and then respond, pressure was up, contested ball, field position, all the stuff that's rolled out. We're working really hard for that. We got to train together during the week. I think we had match sim for the first time since round 10. There's a bit more connection with our backs. The next piece for us is the synergy piece, and guys are back, but are they match fit, match hardened? Tommy Cole's missed 14 weeks, played 80 minutes today. McGovern's missed 14 weeks, played second game back. Dom's he's a year off. Oscar Allen's a year off. So there's just that piece is probably the next phase, but having some names on the paper is one thing, but actually performing at their best that's what we're chasing now.
So, Scully, the Tigers scored about 40 more points than the Eagles at stoppage. 4 goals from throw-ins, 4 goals straight as well. The Eagles are the worst team in the comp in this differential. It took long, halfway through the third, to bang through our first score from stoppage. And the Tigers, that's probably where they got the most damage done in that third term. You want to talk deja vu. That's exactly what happened to them at the MCG earlier in the year as well. That same period in the third, albeit a bit later in that quarter.
I remember that. Prestea kicked a bunch of goals in a row, like 3 in a row or something.
Yeah, he was on one. Yeah,
so, I mean, the stoppage stuff, look, you'd have to go right inside the footy club, but from my time around stoppage scores, it starts with accountability at the stoppage and around, having accountability maybe for direct opponents, your starting positions, that sort of stuff, and then structure. So the stuff inside is midfielders effectively and perhaps some high half forwards coming up, what we do with our wingers, that sort of thing. But then the structure behind the footy has a fair bit to do with those scores from stoppage. Now, it can be how quickly you set up, it can be how you set up, maybe you get a loose back with a winger coming up, half forward coming up. In my best time at the footy club when we were winning lots of games, our structure and our setup was elite at stoppage. And without knowing exactly, that's what I reckon it is. It's the stuff inside, but then how quickly can you set up, get yourself put in the right spot to then, get yourself into the contest. Because, look, from what I saw, and especially on the weekend, with a really experienced backline, they wanted to get into contests, and clearly they couldn't do that enough from stoppage, and that's where it's won and lost usually.
In the midfield, you talk about that. Kelly had it 27 times. He had 12 inside 50s, and Sheeta 28 and 5 clearances. They gave it a fair crack, but Andrew Gaff is the absolute talking point of this midfield, relegated to the sub role where it all began. A model of consistency in his entire time at the club has now all of a sudden from nowhere fallen out of form. He's had 8 top 10 BNF finishes in his 2-time All-Australian career, which is outrageous. How did you find the response after clearly what was going to be heavy emphasis and pressure on him?
He's never been dropped since he's debuted, so it's about time, and this is coming from the most dropped player in the history of the club, so I say it's about time Gavi got a taste. Look, he hasn't been in form. I've heard him speak about it. I think I spoke about it on this show. He'd be his own biggest critic. So I think it's almost a bit of a release coming into the sub. Now, we see he plays almost 3.5 quarters in pretty normal game time, but having that time to mentally not relax, but it's just a different role, right? I'm going to come on, I'm going to impact the game, I'm going to play this different role. Even though he ends up coming in and playing a pretty similar role he's always been playing, the mind's changed. And look, I was really impressed. I thought it was the best game for a long time.
Yeah, he had it 24 times and used it the best than any of the top line midfielders. His opportunity came at the expense of Ruben Ginbey, who's done a pinger after 18 games. The body said that'll do in the debut season. Gutting for Rubes, but he wasn't, he was looking like being one of many casualties, as you spoke of at the top of the show.
Yep.
Thrilling that all of them played out, but Oscar Allen looked pretty sore, into that game.
Yeah, I mean, so we can go through them quickly. Tom Barras's over the top. I've seen him do it before. He comes up, ends up in a crumpled heap on the ground.
Mate, fell from a massive height, and that's not a deck you want to land on hard at all.
No, so, I mean, that's a great result. He was able to play out the game. Jeremy McGovern got a boot in the face, HIA protocol, so went in and had that assessed, came back on.
So was he having to wait the allotted time to come back on
Yeah,
the
it looked
field?
like it. He went downstairs, came back up probably after 10 minutes and had to wait another 10. Had the big droopy fat lip to go with it.
Well, you saw that at halftime close up. How did it look?
Correct. He wasn't happy with it. It didn't look that badly, but he was. I think he could feel the effects a bit. And then, yeah, of course, Ruben Ginbey. Look, you'd say the club's erring on the side of caution there as well. And clearly he's done his hammy, but it didn't look like one where you come off and you can't walk. I've done a few of them where you come off and you're literally dragging your leg along the ground. He didn't look like that. And Oscar Allen, look, he's one player that you don't like to say we were going to protect anyone or make sure everyone's looked after, but he's someone certainly you don't want injured in the back part of this year, so they're going to have to be really cautious with his shoulders.
Fair milestone ticked off on the weekend with JD putting through number 500. It is such an incredible feat and career. He's going to be third all-time goal scorer behind Summer, but he's 5'14", so he'll overtake him at some point. JK may be insurmountable at 7'12". Had a couple of false alarms with this, so he snicked the post on the way through, and he went the big celebration and had to pull it back. And then last week against the Lions, he had a goal review overturned. So it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, I saw that. So I saw one against the Lions. It was sort of one that he thought he'd kicked and then it got overturned. Look, I
If
think
you're getting beaten by that amount, which you did against the Lions,
you don't want to.
Would you rather save it for the home game?
Well, if you're a forward, yeah. Backs don't get to look at this, mate. So I just think it's an amazing achievement. 500 goals. He's averaged pretty much 2 goals a game. To be doing that, a regular, consistent player.
In today's modern game.
Yeah, at the end of your career, you want to be. It's not about the stats. It's not about the 500. It's not about games you play. You want to be known as someone who was able to be consistent. When you look to your teammates in your eye, when you're standing on in the race, you want them to know what you're going to provide. And for a very long time, we've known what Jack Darling delivers. So I don't think you could summarise or give him better credit than that. You want the respect of your teammates. Little unsurprising, but a couple of key defenders just made their way back to. They should have got around Jack.
You gonna name names here, or what?
Yeah, Tom Barras, Shannon Hearn. But I will say I've been in that position as well.
Just phoned it in.
I haven't seen many forwards making their way down and go and give high fives to
For
back.
what? Your 20th spoiler today.
Anything.
Right.
Anything. You name it. Right? So be nice if the favour was returned every now and then from a forward. But yeah, great effort from JD.
Yeah, well, Jack spoke to Eagles media after the game to reflect on such a memorable milestone.
Oh yeah, it feels pretty good to get a milestone, 500. I feel the boys got a standing ovation, so I didn't really notice at the time, so it might be something I might watch tonight and soak it in and just get ready for next week and add to the 500. You see some patches where you see some real good signs, and when we're not going so well, it's sort of good for players to experience that as well and just know not to go insular. And I've been in that positions a few times, and just to tell them, just focus on what you can control, be predictable to your teammates, and next contest, just try and educate them on those sort of things.
Scully, loved the chat you did with Bunga pre-game on the Fox broadcast. So the full version is available on our website. We're going to give the fans just a little bit of a snippet here to wet their beak. Let's have a bit of a listen to what you and the big fella are discussing.
So we get down here and you're looking at the ground. That's what you're talking about. What are sort of the cues you're reading from the midfield? And you play a bit of tall and small. Is that what you like about being down here, seeing the game?
Well, yeah, it is. And the game comes at you. And, in general, the more times you train and you play, you get to pick up patterns or certain cues. But one of the things you try and look at is how much pressure is on the opposition. So how much we can create, whether it's if they're coming out and there's no pressure on, obviously you need to be closer to your man. There's more pressure on, generally the ball's a bit higher. The other thing's probably working with your teammates. That's the biggest thing. So having awareness where everyone is.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was asked who I to interview for starters, and I thought, which backman? I don't want to speak to a midfielder forward. And I just think, Shannon's been a premiership captain, he's been a leader at the club for a long time, but he doesn't do a lot of media. And I certainly have a great relationship with him. And I thought there was some good insight with that, with his kicker-outering. There's some words I threw in there.
I thought though you were going to show the clip of you, mucking up the kick. But we're going to show it. We're going to show it right here. So this is what you were referring to when you said, "No, we're going to play it here for the fans." So this is what you brought this up. Said it's a bit difficult to do this one. It's one of your finer moments. I do love that.
Mate, it's skill. Like, have a look. How I don't know.
Giving them points of skill.
I haven't seen Shannon Hearn do that before. It's unique.
It was quality. This is what you wouldn't have seen though after that little piece where they threw back to the studio with Sarah Jones and Jono Brown. Let's have a little look.
Fingers pointing there. Scully's
got one of those.
You've got one of those, haven't you, Jonathan?
Wow.
Yeah.
So
every time I'm here doing this show, I can't help but look at that thing. It is putrid. And the fact that they've noticed it on the broadcast is just fantastic. We're all feeling the pain.
Are we having a good look at it? So I'll tell you what happened. This was an issue I had for most of my career. No pain whatsoever.
Don't touch it.
No pain whatsoever. I've come back to this football club to represent them in the waffle about 8 weeks ago. And the first action I had, the first time the ball came near me, I did it again. So we can blame my stint in the waffle for how it looks. Jonathan Brown has one as well.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a, something together.
No, yeah, well done. You and Jono Brown. Peas in a pod. All right, with only 3 games left in the season, don't forget, you can jump online, secure your tickets for a home game at Optus. You being there can make all the difference in support of the boys. We've got the Roos, Crows, and of course the Derby on the cards. So grab your tickets now through Ticketmaster. You can even do it in style in the Premiership Lounge or the Legends Club. Unreal atmosphere up there. You can contact the club at wce.com.au if you want to go large for the occasion. Don't know if they'll be letting your banana mates through in the Premiership though, Scully.
Well, so I saw these lads. I was signing in areas that I thought maybe it's quite strange. I asked them what was going on. Like what's with the bananas? They could not answer me. I don't know what was happening. I'm still lost. But there were bananas at the game. And, yeah.
There was no such seating love this Saturday on the cards though. We're on the road at Marvel against the Blues.
They've got road again.
That's it. 4 in a row for the Blues. They're pretty hot. They're probably going to miss Harry Mackay, his serious weapon up forward. But a tough outing, another 6-day break with travel on the cards. Cheers.
Well, it was a tough day at the office against them here at home. Charlie Curnow had an absolute day out. We were missing a lot of our senior defenders, so we'll have that back. McGovern, Barras, Hearn, all these guys playing. So no Harry Mackay. It's a positive for West Coast. You can't look at it any other way. He's one of the guns of the competition, Coleman medalist, but he's not someone you'd like to play on. He absolutely towed me up one week, took 15 marks and taught me a lesson towards the twilight of my career. But that it's someone that has caused issues. So they'll have one key focal point, which is Charlie Curnow, absolute gun. So they'll need to stop him before they do anything. But their real strength is through their midfield. That's what's turned their form around. They were tapering off. Their midfield stepped up. What they do around the ball, the stoppage stuff we spoke about with Richmond, that's going to be an area of improvement for the club.
Unfortunately, the Waffle Boys couldn't build on their drawn result last week against the Demons. They went down to the reigning premiers West Perth by about 5 goals in the end. It was a 7-0 opening term that didn't do them any favours, but they had a host of players returning from injury being first up, Scully. So the most pleasing aspect is they got through and unscathed at this point.
Well, I would say that is building. I know they haven't won, but Perth's towards the bottom of the ladder. West Perth, I know not in finals yet, but they're a better side, and West Coast are competitive. That's what you want as a building block. To be getting done by 100 points each week, you can't go from 100 to winning. So you need to go through that. They need to do this a few weeks in a row. Some real contributors from the AFL list as well.
AFLW fixtures released yesterday, Scully. The 10-game season is going to kick off with the Derby round 1. You can get your AFLW season membership for 2023 now. Your adults will cost $50, the juniors $40. This will get you entry to all the home and away matches across the season. There's going to be a heap of match day activations planned for the home games. To find out more information, go to the website or email membership@wce.com.au. So the girls still searching for their first finals appearance heading into the 5th season of the competition, but I like to look at that draw.
Yeah, it's good. 6 games in Perth. I'll be working across a few of them on TV, which will be fun. I like the fact the girls look like they've been building in training. It sounds like their pre-season's going nicely.
Good young crop coming through.
Yeah, and get a bit of consistency with what they're doing there. Again, from where they were last year, they're going to have to build through this year. It's not going to go from 0 to 100, but certainly some improvement expected.
Yeah, 6 games in Perth, big tick there. Finally, on this week's episode of Inside Swoop, courtesy of Jim Beam, we have some vision, courtesy of Channel 10, of the dynamic duo from the 2018 flag, JK and Lecker. The big show was able to boot 4 goals and plenty of behinds, and Lecker more wasteful, so he's caused to post this after the game. Good to have a kick today with Big Nuts. It's finally happened. I'm officially no good at footy.
Yeah, that's correct. Mark Lacroix, welcome to retirement, mate. You haven't kicked a goal. You're playing Divi 5. You can't kick goals. It's not hard. The big sticks, get your hands on the ball, kick it through the big ones. I could do it. He can't. See you, Lecker.